Here's the solution for day 3. Use sum or difference formulas to find exact values of the trig function. Question A. Find the sine of a 75-degree angle. 75 degrees is not one of the angles that's marked out on the unit circle. However, using a trig identity, we can use the exact values from the unit circle to get an answer for the sine of 75 degrees without just typing that in the calculator and getting a decimal answer. To do this problem, let's replace the sine of 75 degrees with the sine of 30 degrees plus 45 degrees. Now we're going to use the identity from our notes that involves taking the sine of a sum. In that identity, this is the letter U and this is the letter V. So when we're working with the identity, every time there's a U, we're going to put in 30 degrees, and every time there's a V, we will fill in the 45 degrees. Here's the pattern given by that trig identity. It's the sine of U, so in this case the sine of 30 degrees, times the cosine of V, so in this case the cosine of 45 degrees. Then there's a plus sign, which matches this adding sign, and it goes the cosine of U, so the cosine of 30 degrees, times the sine of V, the sine of 45 degrees. The reason this is helpful is because we could look on the unit circle and get all four of these values. The sine of 30 degrees is the y value of the dot at the 30-degree angle. That's 1/2. The cosine of 45 degrees is the x-coordinate of the dot at 45 degrees. That's the square root of 2/2. The cosine of 30 is the x-coordinate of the dot at the 30-degree angle. That's the square root of 3/2. And the sine of 45 is the y value of the dot at the 45-degree angle. That's the square root of 2/2. Now let's simplify this. The square root of 2 all over 4 plus the square root of 6 all over 4. They have common denominators, so the numerators can be combined. Here is the exact value, no decimals, for the sine of 75 degrees. Now we're going to skip doing the tangent of 75 degrees because there's just not any room to do that up there. So down in question B, let's cross out doing the cosine and instead do one where we do use the tangent function. 15 degrees is not an angle that's shown on our unit circle. If you type it in the calculator, that's going to give a decimal that you would have to round off. But we can give an exact answer using the difference formula. So let's rewrite the tangent of 15 degrees as the tangent of 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. When we use our identity from our notes, the letter U will be 45, the letter V will be the 30. Okay, let's use that identity. We get the tangent of 45 degrees minus the tangent of 30 degrees all over 1 plus tangent of 45 degrees times the tangent of 30 degrees. In that trig identity, there's a minus sign in the numerator when we have a difference. And this symbol here is the opposite of whichever one is put in the numerator. Next step, let's use our unit circle to substitute values. The tangent of 45 degrees is the y-coordinate divided by the x-coordinate. Because those fractions are the same, that's going to turn out to be a 1. The tangent of 30 degrees is 1/2 divided by the square root of 3/2. That makes 1 over the square root of 3, which is the same thing as the square root of 3 all over 3. Now down in the denominator, we have 1 plus the tangent of 45 degrees was 1, and the tangent of 30 degrees was the square root of 3 all over 3. Okay, let's continue up here. In the numerator, let's get a common denominator of 3 by thinking of 1 as 3/3. So this becomes 3 minus the square root of 3 all over 3. And then that's divided by, and now let's work down here in the denominator. Let's also get a common denominator of 3 by thinking of this 1 as 3 over 3. So that is 3 plus the square root of 3 all over 3. Next step, these will cross cancel, leaving 3 minus the square root of 3 all over 3 plus the square root of 3. Well, this is an exact answer, but we know from an earlier chapter this year that we don't leave square roots in the denominator of a fraction. We're going to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of that denominator. So let's put this in parentheses and times it by 3 minus the square root of 3. Down here, put this in parentheses and times it by 3 minus the square root of 3. 3 minus the square root of 3 is the conjugate of the 3 plus square root of 3. Okay, next step. In the top, how about some FOIL? 3 times 3 is 9 minus 6 square root of 3 plus 3. Down in the denominator, 3 times 3 is 9 minus 3. Okay, next step. In the top, 9 plus 3 is 12 minus 6 square root of 3. That's all over 6. Final step. 12 over 6 reduces to 2, and the 6 over 6 cancels out, leaving minus square root of 3. So here is the simplified answer, and this is an exact answer for the tangent of 15 degrees. It doesn't use a decimal that we've rounded off.